Hello everyone, and welcome to the third broadcast of the Armco News Network. And today we're going to be talking about the pirate POWs, as well as the recruits and some of the other higher ranking POWs we captured on the pirate capital ship. To start with, about what exactly happened to the POWs? This may be a question on multiple people's minds. The answer is, once we discovered it, was surprisingly simple. To start off with the information that was officially provided, we do know that the POWs were transferred over to the Endurance, with the remaining ones sent over to Longbow and Harbinger. However, due to a request from Tabby's Tormented, some of the POWs would be sent over to pirate. Beyond that, not all information is known, besides the fact that some of them, if not all, would end up joining us. While at first this may seem to be all the information we have, fortunately there are many perks on working on a dropship. This means that during one of our normal taxi runs, we would be carrying a certain infantry unit, which for security reasons will remain unnamed. But one of these people was actually a former pirate, specifically a POW. At first he was hesitant on answering my questions, but one drink later and he was more willing to give the information that I required. For anonymity's sake, we'll be referring to him as Bob. Bob would tell me that he would be on the ship Harbinger, where he and the rest of the POWs would get an announcement from Shaq, where he essentially gave them 3 options. But it wasn't really 3 options, more like 2 flavors of death and 1 option of living. To be more specific, the 3 options were either be sent over to the local authorities, be sent back to the pirates, or join Armco. And according to Bob, the locals were not too happy with them, considering that they attacked and tried to take their spice, which you should never do. As such, they would inevitably be put up on a wall and look down the face of a barrel before pop. The other option, go back to the pirates. Problem is, since the majority of them, with the exception of some of the higher ranking ones, but even then they were from a different crew, so the same thing might happen to them too, which would be thrown out the airlock. Why? Well, because I don't know, lack of food, because competition, a bunch of other reasons. Regardless, they'd be thrown out the airlock. So their only real option would be to join Armco. And fortunately for them, it did not take long for them to find work. Once they were available in the market, so to say, they would largely be sent over to our infantry units which had taken casualties, as well as those which were functionally wiped out due to heavy combat. While some may object to using former POWs, or simply because we were fighting them earlier, the commanders of those units were more than happy to get free, cheap labor who are already more or less trained in how to shoot the other side. So it does save on training. I did try to ask about what happened to the POWs on Pirate. Bob was very hesitant to answer this. Bit of very obvious fear and other signs of discomfort were on his face when I brought that up. So 2 more drinks were more than enough to loosen his lips enough to share what he knew. It wasn't actually a lot, but it was disconcerting to say the least. According to him, they seemed to be somewhat lost in some kind of daze, mumbling something about begging for forgiveness from the God Emperor or something like that. I'm fairly confident that Tabby's Tormented had something to do with that. As for the recruits and other high-ranking POWs, their fate would be harder to determine, but fortunately the Lonely Heir would be the one to pick them up, and I would be able to get their contact information. This meant I would be able to learn more about what's currently happening. And in all honesty, it's not that surprising. Where essentially after joining Armco, they've more or less been a high commodity on the market. Has multiple engineering units, captains of pretty much every ship, not just in Lucian, but the ones Lucian get first dibs. But even then, there has been a high demand for them in their services. This has inevitably resulted in multiple attempts to recruit them, whether that be through backroom deals with some of the other captains. Chuck would attempt to clamp down on some of this stuff by having them move around different sites, try different jobs, see which one they like, in the hopes that will help influence them and stop all the backroom bickering. But all that has happened is that meant it's a lot easier for the courting attempts to happen. They all know that they're high demand, so they're perfectly willing to sit and wait as the price for them goes higher and higher and higher. Now, some of you ground pounders may be wondering why there's a lot of demand for these kind of guys. The main reason is because it's very hard to find good help. Because, no offense, but your jobs are fairly easy to be trained for. You pick up a gun, or you learn how to shoot something, bing bam boom, all done. But for higher demand jobs, it tends to require more training, and never results in on-site training because we can't really do any of that other type of training. Sure, it does have its own perks, but the main downsides is that if someone screws something up, it's gonna screw up everyone else's day, as we have to work overtime to try to fix whatever that rookie did. Suffice to say, good help is hard to find, and it takes forever to train them to be competent. As such, these guys who already had training and knowledge are naturally extremely valuable. But as again, none of them have officially been picked up, and they're still currently on the market. Beyond that, that's it for this broadcast. Some of you may be expecting a significantly longer broadcast, largely due to our recent coverage of the Haven campaign and the combat operation of Lucian. Regardless, you should be expecting more of these shorter broadcasts. While we do have plans for future broadcasts, whether it be the pirate capitalist ship or how our communication system operates, we are getting reports that there are major changes, basically of how orders are taken. So expect possible updates on that, or even on campaign operations. With that said, I'm your host, the Electric Gamer, and hope to see you in our next broadcast. Goodbye, everyone.